Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Very Connected podcast. And we are joined today by a extremely special guest, uh, Corby Ryan Jackson. And I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about him, but we're going to be talking about living beyond the scale. He's adjusting his cameras and he's kind of getting all set up.
Yeah.
So um, we'll give him a second to do that. In the meantime, I want each of you to say hello, let us know where you're from. Let us know a little bit about yourself if you're joining pre-op, if you're joining post-op, if you've had weight loss surgery, if you want to share how much you've lost, if you want to share anything about living beyond the scale, like any kind of wins you've had recently, tell us about that. And um, we want to hear all about you. So we do have some people already commenting. We have
Oh, okay.
Jennifer from Illinois, Heather saying hello, Shado from Nebraska,
Hmm.
Tony from BME. Oh, we got one
Yeah,
of
we got
the
Tony.
very male experienced podcasters here. Corby is part of a podcast, which we're going to be talking about, and some of his supporters from that podcast are here, his colleagues. We have Lisa from Seattle. We have someone from Georgia, Marguerite from Texas, Michelle from, oh, she didn't say where from, but I know Michelle. She's been on our shows before. Hello, Michelle. And there's so many more. It's going to be hard for me to name everybody, but keep the comments coming. We love all of you, and you guys are what make these podcasts so amazing.
I appreciate
So,
it.
um, we're here to support you guys, and you guys are here to support us. So we appreciate that. And I'm going to kind of do an introduction. And Corby, I'm going to actually read. I don't usually do this, but I'm going to read your bio because I feel like you have so much information in there, and I'm just flabbergasted, like how much you've been through and like your journey. And I can't wait to kind of get into that. So I'm going to read that, and then we're going to let you share even more. So her um Corby Jackson, you go by Ryan, is that correct? I
Yeah, I
guess
go by
maybe
Ryan. That's
Ryan.
fine.
Okay. At the age of 13, he weighed 350 pounds, and by the time he reached 29, he had reached 835 pounds. He underwent surgery on October 12th of 2020 and hit with a height of 6'8". So you are really a tall guy.
Hmm.
Um, he weighed 665 at that time. So your weight had went down a little bit. Today he has reached a weight of 382. And is that about where you are right now?
Yeah, I'm still there.
Right there? Okay. And despite all of this, it's been a journey. He's remained consistent in his pursuit of reclaiming his health. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, inching closer and closer to that person that each of us want to be, who you're becoming and who you are right now. And also during this process, he felt like he wanted to help others, and he's taking his experiences to the next level. He has now become a therapist, and he's able to help other people with their personal challenges, including weight and bringing aware. I think you bring a lot of these attributes in: the self-awareness, the self-compassion, and the development of healthy coping mechanisms. And I know you were with us here recently when we had the Very Male Experienced podcasters on along with you, and just really enjoyed that conversation. So I know this is going to be just as spectacular. In that, I'm going to turn the mic over to you, and I'm going to kind of give you a moment to tell us even a little bit more about yourself, what made you kind of do what you're doing now by sharing.
So yeah, so I wanted to be a therapist. First, my original thought process was being a therapist because I thought I could fix my family. That was my original thought, but realized it's not a fixing of family, it's accepting of family per se. But then I was learning that I needed to accept myself. Right. My relationship to food was so family orientated that there was a narrative for every reason of why I chose the food I chose, right? So comfort food was the relationship I had with my mother, right? Going out to expensive restaurants was the relationship I had with my father. So there's a sense that my identity was so food thought process that I didn't know who I was. And because of the absence of who I was, I realized when I was in my journey of weight loss, I had the ability to create the identity I've always wanted. I didn't have to be identified to what food made me be, but who I wanted to be around food. Right. And that's kind of where I want to go with what this is. Like, because I know the struggle with me was in the beginning was I gotta make sure the scale keeps on going down. I gotta keep going. And that's what this is. Like we were thinking like, okay, well, if the scale is better, I should feel better. And reality is, yes, you're reducing the scale and might feel healthier. You might feel more physically fit. You might have a lot of non-scale victories. But then who are you outside of what the scale represents for you? Right? If your identity was so wrapped around what food meant to you and then what other things meant to you revolving what food meant, you have to then feel, how do I become whole without needing food to comfort me? And that's kind of where I learned is like, I didn't need food to define me anymore. I defined myself by who I wanted to be represented by.
And when we look at like the end result, I think sometimes we think, it's as you said, we think it's the scale going down number by number by number. But then you get to that number at some point, or you get close to certain segments of goals, and it makes you realize, you know what? My happiness shouldn't be judged on just a number. It should be much more than that. It's about the journey and where we're at. And you keep asking, you have to almost dig deeper and ask yourself why. Why do I want to weigh that?
Hmm.
Is it because I want to feel lighter in my body? I want to feel healthier. I want to be off some medications. So kind of digging deeper. So thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that. Yeah.
It's not
Okay.
centered. You
Somebody
don't see
said
half my
you're
face.
only
Let me see if I can boost this up taller. Can you see me now?
let us know. Okay.
Okay.
It looks like we have some people that are pre-op, some people post-op. So, you guys, if you have there's like tons of comments. So I just want to say if you do have a specific question that you do want to pose to Corby, there is a Q&A button itself, and that might help weed out questions like specifically as we're kind of going along because we will kind of look at the comments and do that. And I think from this standpoint, let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and get
Okay.
started with
So
where we're going.
yeah, so I had a presentation for you guys specific to this. Let me see if I can pull it up now. Um,
And if you need to move your camera back to help you with that, you're welcome to do that.
it should be in Canva. There we go. I pulled it up. So can everybody see my screen now? I want to make sure. Okay.
Oh, we got messages. Let's see. Yes.
Okay, great.
Hearing lots of yeses.
Uh,
And yes.
awesome. Because I can't see anything but this now in you. So let's see. Living beyond the scale, redefining health and success. So I originally made this because I felt like in our relationship with who we are and our health, there should be more than just the factor of the scale. The goal of this presentation is to explore how to redefine health and success, focus on the physical well-being and the mental well-being, and discover how living beyond the scale and truly embracing life. All right. The truly embracing life is the factor of knowing how to be curious to want to live your life, not live by what you feel um, society might see you as, but like who you authentically are. Going from there, I wanted to talk about a couple different pieces. Why is this relevant? When relying on the scale uh, for validation, self-esteem can fluctuate based on the weight change, leading to emotional highs and lows with weight loss and lows with any gain or plateau. So anybody ever realized that they might have stalled for a bit, right? And they allow that stall to define the value of how they see their journey. I know for me, when I'll be going, I'll be like, man, I'm consistently doing this. I'm eating healthy. I'm working out. I'm doing all these things. And then I found the relevance of uh Can you guys still see me? I, oh, I don't know what happened. Can you see me? Oh, you can hear me, right? Uh, I don't know what happened, but I can still see you, but I can't hear you. Okay.
I
I
was
just,
on mute. Sorry about that. But yes,
oh,
we could hear you. We can see you.
okay,
And for whatever reason, my picture is posting twice up here on the, I guess because it's showing me talking, but on
okay,
your camera shot.
okay. I don't know why,
But
but
we can
oh,
actually see your presentation really well. It looks great.
okay, okay, great. I just wanted to make sure because it stopped in the middle of it, and I was like, what happened? Let's see. The next slide. Relying on the scale for validation can lead to obsessive behaviors such as frequent weighing, which can disturb mental health in everyday life. So, like I was saying before about how when you go on the scale and then you haven't seen it change in a while, and then you get internally frustrated about, am I doing enough? You start having all these questions of like, am I doing something wrong? Similar to the kind of questions of what made food or what made the weight feel so connected to you. Like for me personally, I started to realize that my obsession for the scale change made me do radical things like, okay, well, because the scale is a move, I'm not going to eat for 24 hours. And it was like, what's that going to do? Like, I'm trying to quick start something which is a process, it's a journey. So I have to accept the journey when it's peaked or plateaued at times and started realizing what did I gain from that journey outside of what the scale is telling me, right? Another thing is continuous scale checking can lead to distorted body image and overlooking positive change like muscle gain and toning that are not reflected by weight alone, right? You could be losing inches, but not losing anything on the scale, and that's fine. So how do you define health? Um, so health is defined by according to the World Health Organization, a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So if you think about it, it's not just what the scale is telling you, but how do you feel in whole, right? Because your weight makes a part of you, but it doesn't make the whole you. And I think that becomes a big missing piece to this entire thing is the whole you is more relevant than the slivers. That's all right. Hyper focusing on the sliver or what this weight will look like or how you feel about your weight will lose sight on the real aspects of what did you gain or learn from yourself? What made you feel more rewarded or more at peace with who you are? So that kind of goes into the next category for me is the concept of what your needs base are for life. Um, I look at the concept of Maslow's hierarchy needs. I use this on a daily basis at my job. When it comes to my sessions with my clients, is like, where is your needs assessment at on what you need for your life so you can be fulfilled? So when a person doesn't find themselves securing their needs, they'll look for connection in the escape of their reality of life. So if you're not getting enough sleep, if your nutrition is off, you're not getting enough water, if you are losing weight, but you don't have stable living, you're struggling with job security, or you're struggling with the day in and day out of living or being social in life. You're struggling with the love of yourself or how to feel belong to those that love you. Those are factors that can lead to difficulties with your self-esteem. Question if you're doing enough. Question if you're worthy of what you're doing, or questioning if what you're doing is well worth it to you. I bring this up solely because a lot of the times when we don't identify what our needs are, we start to look for fillers to fill that void, a void in which can be really difficult if we don't know who we are. All right. If you see on the top of that scale or pyramid, It's the self-actualization, which is your morality, your creativity, spontaneity, acceptance, experience, purpose, meaning, and inner potential. That's like when you're able to say, I'm ready to be curious about life and learn about who I am in my whole completeness, right? And not just look at the little details, but just the bigger picture of who you see yourself as, which I feel is a very important piece. If you're not looking within yourself of who you are and where you want to be, you'll there's a potential to lose sight of you. So what are some ways to explore this? Ways to explore this is identify patterns of behavior. If you know, like I know, if you know that when you're eating certain foods, there's emotions that are related to it, and you might feel that when you're anxious, you choose to eat a certain type of food because you're trying to fill the void of what that anxiety is. You have to use that awareness to embrace the fact of what is this anxiety serving me and where is it coming from? All right. Identifying these little patterns and being more self-aware of all your little actions in your life start to make you think like, what is the why behind this? Because I do this daily for myself. I ask myself, why am I feeling this way? And what is the reason to justify that feeling? Right. I've always used to justify feelings when it came to my food, right? Hey, I had a bad day at work, so I can overeat. Or hey, I didn't eat any breakfast or lunch, so I can have a big meal at dinner. I would find ways to rationalize and justify these behaviors in my addiction with food or with my ability to want to eat more solely because it was feeding the void that I wasn't finding within. Another thing you can do is identify character defects. Any challenge in a personal character that may affect your way of life and interaction with others in a less than ideal manner. If you perceive yourself in one way and then you feel your behaviors are not aligning to the identity of what you want, right? Then there becomes a self-awareness of there has to be a change, right? And that change can be uncomfortable based on the pattern of the behavior that is associated to it. Now, how does this tie into weight loss, the scale, and why the consistency on looking at the scale to define the value of who you are is important, is a tricky slope at times. It's because if I feel that I'm not physically fit and I don't look the ideal what healthy looks like from societal standpoint, then I'll start to break down as if I'm not worthy of societal standpoints because I'm not looking at my own authentic feeling of how I feel about my health right now. I will always use a sounding board of what society sees of me versus how I see myself. And there becomes a detachment to the reality of you and becomes more of an attachment to how you feel connected to those around you. Right? Another thing you can do is body scanning, which would be present with your feelings in their totality, body, emotional, mind, and soul. When you're present with all those things, you're now being aware to what you can absolve and what you can let go. Right. When you find yourself overwhelmed with a lot of things, sometimes you got to realize what can I really consume versus I need to consume everything around me because that's just my natural habit. That's my natural feeling of needing to take care of the world around me. It's like, okay, well then how do you take care of yourself in this process? Because in the journey of your weight loss, right, you're taking care of your weight loss because either you had the surgery or you're doing a natural. There's some type of rhythm that you created in that. But then when you can't go to the things that trigger the feeling of overwhelm, like you can't go to the fact of food anymore, you have to find something that is a system that makes you feel calm again. I'll give you guys a perfect example of this when it came to my life. Um, it was Thanksgiving 2021. Um, and we had just had Thanksgiving dinner. I believe I was a year in my surgery. And I was upstairs with my mother and we were going over old pictures of how like back in the day. And I remember my mother in front of me having a stroke. And I had to carry my mom down the stairs, and I had to watch my mom forget my name, my date of birth, who I am, and all those things. And at that point in time, being overwhelmed, the fact of I have to be a power of attorney of health, I have to make sure everything's okay. And it was just in an instant, my life changed right there. A lot of different emotions came over me. I stayed in that hospital with my mom until it was over for what's it called? Closing time for visitors. And instead of going to the thing that I felt was self-soothe, which was food, I went to the gym. I used my walk as my grounding technique. Now, mind you, I was on the treadmill crying, walking, doing my pace, but it was getting my back into a regular state of emotion and being calm and being at peace and accepting the totality of the weight around me. I say that to say to you guys is that if you can find something that keeps you grounded, even when you're overwhelmed or even when your sensations are all over the place, you can find a rhythm to always beat that feeling of needing to do more or to feed that void with food. Another thing, if you want to look at it, is looking at inconsistencies in your actions and creating a smart goal set. Looking and create a plan to address them, like smart goal setting. A lot of times, if a person doesn't have some goal or some vision aligned, it'll be easier for them to be distracted with the world around them. I bring that into the forefront because a lot of times I've learned in my journey when I didn't have a specific desired goal of what I wanted from something and I wasn't doing all the things necessary to get there, I will find myself looking for quick wins as distractions to avoid the bigger goal or the bigger vision. And I'll lose sight of me. And that's not really being authentic to who I am. I know I'm giving a lot of information, trust me.
Letting it all process. And there is some questions coming in too, and we can wait to take those if you'd like, if here
No,
and there you want me to interject, I can definitely do that too.
you can interject. I can't see the question, so can you just relay them to me?
Oh, absolutely. So here's one from Katie. She says, when it comes to the food and relating it to the family, how did you come to that? Like comfort food to mom?
Okay. Comfort food was the warm hug I felt I needed. So my mom was the reassuring love at all times. So she would use food when I didn't pass a test, when life was difficult, or I was even happy, like, okay, it's time to celebrate. Food was the like form of acceptance of feeling loved by her. So when going outside the household, when I felt like I wanted my mom around, but I was in college or something like that, I would go to the comforts of the food that reminded me of her. And again, that's just doing some self-work. I correlated different relationships with different people based on the food that I had with them, right?
That makes sense. I mean, and it's interesting too, even our senses can kind of, you smell a fresh apple pie and you think about grandma, or um you just did well on a test or had something that you accomplished and you think, oh, it's time to go for an ice cream because we always went for an ice cream after baseball, or
Hmm.
just different things like that. There's one that was similar. Do you have any tips for someone having trouble because of family staying on track with everything?
So is
So
this person being more of an accountability partner, or is this person um maybe not holding you accountable and enabling you?
I think it's probably more the enabling or not really helping and supporting along the journey is what I'm
Okay.
thinking by the comment.
Okay. So if you have someone that is living with you that is not supportive of your journey, you have to ask yourself, is their support necessary for your growth? And I say that because there are going to be people who might not believe where your growth is going to take you in your journey, until they see the end result. I have an example for everything. Going back to my relationship with my mom. Um, in the beginning phase of my weight loss, my mom was scared for me. She was like, "You're losing too much weight." She would tell me, "It's too cold outside. Don't go outside." And I was like, "No disrespect, mom. I'm going to go out and do my walk." Because it was for me. It had nothing to do with anything or anyone around me. And because of that, she struggled at times with communicating how she felt. And because of the communication of how she felt was difficult at that time, uh, I don't know why this keeps on going back to that.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it keeps on going back to stop sharing. Anyway, so going to that specific, can you see me still?
We can see you, but your screen is still showing a black screen that says sharing screen Zoom.
Okay, I don't know why. Okay, sorry.
There we go. Now
Uh,
we have it. And we can hear
so
you too.
okay, so going to that, my mom didn't talk to me for a couple months during I want to say 2 to 3 months prior to my surgery. She wasn't really talking to me, and it was because of fear that, and her fear, that I would die on the table or things of that nature. And I was like, "Well, mom, if you took the time to educate yourself with me, you would know these things." But what I'm, our relationship is stronger now because now she's like, "I'm so proud of you for not even listening to me, and you chose to listen to yourself." And I say this to you, say it's like you have to have more faith over what you're doing for you outside of what people around you will believe in you. Because all they have is a snapshot picture of what they know about you to show up believing if you can or cannot. You have the idea of changing that for yourself first, so that you know you're showing up for your well-being and for your process and for your journey.
Katie also added to that same question. She said, I would create boundaries, enforce the boundaries, and take a break from those people when you need to take a break. Having a support system is great if needed in this process, but you also need to have healthy support, which is true. You know, some people honestly just don't know how to support. Like we expect them to support us, but they, for whatever reason, they don't have it in them. And I've had that happen a few times where I was expecting someone to support me and it just wasn't in them, you know? So you
Hmm.
do, I mean, the boundaries can be important. And I'm going to let you go ahead. There are more questions coming in, but I'm going to go ahead and let you keep talking to Corby to finish, and then we'll kind of continue taking questions here and there if that's okay.
That's fine. I know
Yeah.
I'm a quick talker, but I realize I got to slow down and some sometimes. But let's see. How do you explore yourself? In that aspect, you would challenge your belief of the narratives from the social norms. I know I keep on bringing the social norms aspect is because there's the parts of this journey is people are going to tell you what to do. Parts of the other part of this journey is learning what is good for you or what works with you. All right. So what works with you is you have to, I like I did, I had to find a system or rhythm that flows well with me, such as my walk, such as my daily readings, such as my meditation. These things flowed with me, and I didn't need society to approve of it. I approved of it based on the result of how I felt from it. Another thing is developing your own moral compass to align to the path you're taking. And this is very important because if you're guided always by um, what you feel people are going to receive you as, you're not guiding yourself to how it makes you feel. It's always in the beaten path of what other people will think. And I bring this to the forefront because you don't want to lose this weight and then be at the point of your weight loss and being like, who am I? Right? And be like, oh, well, that was nothing. I only lost this such and such weight. And you'll minimize the value of what you did solely because you didn't realize what efforts you put forth in your journey. You'll deduce the value of your actual work if you aren't being self-aware and being present with yourself and knowing how how much it took out of you to get there. And the last piece of that is acknowledge your growth and give grace to yourself. And I put that there because in this journey there are going to be highs and lows, but knowing the contingency of exactly what you put forth to get here and the actions and the step work that you did to be there allows you to be able to say, well, at least I know I'm further than where I've been, or I'm learning from what I'm doing. The next piece of this is changing the narrative of your life. What can I acknowledge in my present that I find meaning in, and what am I doing to feed it? And I like posing this question for myself and others, is the fact is, when you're finding meaning in what you're doing, you have to find other reasons to feed it for it to continue to exist or live or thrive. Um, when I do my therapy as a therapist, I find meaning in my work by the things I've shown up doing for myself and the things I'm curious about in life to continue to feed that. So there's a part of me that goes into every session I have, right? And that's just personally for me as a therapist, but like even outside of my scope of therapy and me just being a human being, I do things that I find value in, such as um, I find value in going to different states and doing my walks. To say that I've walked in all 50 different states, right? That's something that's a goal of mine, and I'm doing that because I find that the thing that I love, I'm sharing with wherever I go, right? And I feed that by setting up plans to do these things. Um, Another thing that is a harder question, um, and I pose this question because this is something I did in the beginning of my journey: is why do I exist for myself? Because at the end of the day, I had to realize I had to matter for me to show up and be able to be there for everybody else. Right. And I bring that to the forefront, or I say this because um, as human beings, I know for me, I care about people a lot. And if I see someone bleeding, if I see someone hurt, I will want to help them. But if I'm bleeding, right, and if I'm hurt, I'll say I'll deal with it later. I'll address it at a later time. And what ends up happening is I tend to bleed out over people I love solely because I didn't take care of myself. Right? I thought about this actually recently because there's a point in time where even when you're bleeding over people that you love, uh, they might not understand what's going on with you because you feel that you have to take care of everything to make everyone else happy. And reality is this, people will be happy if you're okay with you, right? And if you're focusing on you and you're working on yourself, you'll learn there's a healthy boundary to excessively needing to fix other things around you and let those be your distractions over the fact of I'm healing myself. I'm learning to re-love myself. I'm learning to reconnect with myself. I'm being curious about how to discover pieces of me that I haven't experienced before because I'm willing to give myself that time, right? If I don't find value in the time that I'm doing the things for myself, I won't find meaning in it. Um, so that's a real big piece to why I feel like understanding why you exist for yourself is a measurement to see where you want to see yourself grow. And this goes to my next piece to this. I created this wheel of filling our success. It's like a pie chart and it looks like a dartboard. But the goal is that each one of these quadrants represents a piece of me personally that I find meaning in to feel successful with. Now, each individual person can choose to change pieces of these because they're people find different meanings to what they're doing for themselves in different ways. But this is just for me personally. This is what I saw myself as. I wanted to do self-discovery. I wanted to have acceptance. I wanted financial stability. I was forming healthy relationships. I wanted good personal health. I wanted to find purpose. I wanted to transcend what I found purpose in, and I wanted to find love. And you see this chart as just little quadrants and pieces that aren't filled yet. But if you take the time to look, each one of these things represents an opportunity to find value in yourself. Right? Instead of pouring a cup, start filling in these little pieces. And you don't have to hyper focus on one piece or the other, because if you do, you're not balancing out the value of you outside of just one sliver. Right? Let's look at the health, right? On a weight loss journey, most of the times we hyper focus on, like I said, the scale. Right? I'm gonna get on the scale all the time. I'm going to look at what my weight looks like. I'm gonna look at how clothes are fitting me, and I'm gonna be hyper focused on make sure I get this or that. And that's great and all, but what if I'm not looking at, is this how I want to show up loving myself on a daily basis? Always worried what this number means to me? Is this really a piece of my purpose? Is finding that the scale, if it goes down further, then I'm more valuable as a person? Um, I can be losing all this weight, but what if I haven't accept the new pieces of my skin that might be having loose skin, or the changes in my body, or the identity that I've formed with it? This is why I say you have to find a well-balanced rhythm by putting in little pieces throughout that journey and working on them by asking yourself the question of why. Any questions at this time?
We might take a few. There's a lot of comments. I think the the um the last narrative that you were just talking about, it's just it's just important. It's how would you sum that up in a word before we go into a few questions? A couple words.
The
Like
last
I
narrative,
think value. Like how do you value yourself? Like
how do you value yourself? You measure it by the amount of effort you put forth to something, and you can identify what it means to you. How can I put this in a way? Only way I can relate it is to the gym, right? Say for instance, you're consistently going to the gym, and you know every day you're giving 110%. So you're giving 110%, and someone says they see you in the gym, it's like, I see you, I see your progress. You're not going to give them a response of, this isn't nothing, I could be doing better. You'd be like, thank you. You'd be more receptive of it because you would have been seen for the effort or value you put into yourself. Right? You've been putting in that hard work. You've been measuring your consistency, the rhythm, the flow, the action, and actually identifying this action makes me believe that I'm worthy of what I'm doing.
and really like I think the more you know who you are as a soul, as a being, you aren't just physical, that there's a lot more to you. I feel
Hmm.
like that also reflects back if you know that you're divine in nature, that reflects back too. But I'm going to take a couple questions. There's some people asking how they can get a hold of the speaker. So I'm going to share your information here um, while we're talking too as well, and then I'll kind of dive into the questions. So let's see. One second. I'm copying and pasting it. So your information, Corby, actually, you can be found in a couple different places on different forms of social media.
Hmm.
So through the Barry Mail Experience, which is the podcast that you do, but also on Instagram as Fade Away Ryan, and I know you also have a TikTok account that's called Fade Away Ryan. And we'll get in more to that here in a little bit. If it was my information that you're needing, it's just my email, Hain, Hoehn, B at procarenow.com, and I'll type that too. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to take a couple more questions and then we'll kind of continue on.
Hmm.
There is a question about a blood transfusion during surgery. I don't know if you've experienced that. I know I haven't. I feel like it depends on blood loss. You know, if you lose a lot of blood, that's not a normal thing. I mean, being a coordinator in a weight loss surgery clinic for 8 years, it was very rare for patients to ever have a blood transfusion. Did you have one,
No, I didn't
Ryan?
have a blood transfusion when I had surgery.
So I'm going to kind of skip on to the next. We kind of talked about boundaries and family, so I'm going to kind of move on over that. Um, this one is more about surgery itself, but about pain after surgery. It's somebody probably pre-op. Did you have problems with pain after surgery?
Uh, I'll say the only pain I had when I first woke up, and I mean, I guess it's the first waking up was the initial shock, and I was like, "What happened?" Yelling that real loud. But after that, the getting the gas out by walking, it started to reduce the pain. I have a I have a piece of pain that I teach people at times. Find purpose in your pain. Like meaning like if you have discomfort, once talk to your doctor, let them know. But don't let the discomfort stop you from progressing. I know for me, I used to play football and I tore both my ACLs. And because of that, there was times where when I would try to walk, I would be hesitant to move. So I would walk with a stutter step out of fear of feeling pain. And I say that because if you're identifying what this pain is, you're making it self-aware. Identify the progress of how that pain is subsiding. So if the fear is pain in the process, yes, pain will occur. There will be discomfort. And make sure your doctor knows about the pain, but don't let that pain be the point of like, okay, because this hurts too much, I'm gonna stop moving. Movement is a big necessity in the beginning stage of the journey.
And I think when you compare bariatric surgery to many other types of surgery, I mean, I've only had to compare to having some other minor surgeries like C-sections and things like that. But to me, it was less intensive. I mean, when you're talking, depending on most patients will have laparoscopic, so you only have maybe 5 small incisions. So you do have some your muscles in your abdominal areas interrupted. So you're going to have that, but you're also going to be focusing a lot different on your eating, which I don't know that I consider that pain. Um,
Hmm.
you know what, Corby, go ahead and there is more questions, but we'll kind of keep I know we're kind of getting closer on time and I want to keep your presentation going, but I also we'll probably have time for a few more after here too.
Okay, that's fine. Let's see. Um, make sure. So the next part of this is talking about the concept of recovery. Now, I know it says substance abuse, mental health, service administration. That's a tool that is used to help with people in recovery, but also the concept of helping with people in their mental health. I bring this to the forefront because what it says is recovery is a process of change through which individuals improve their health, wellness, life as a self-directed life and strive to reach their full potential. A working definition of recovery I've created is recovery is when a person feels fulfilled by how authentic they are with self and define and design a moral compass that fulfills their needs. So I say authentic because when you're authentic with you, or when you have rigorous authenticity, you are challenging on a regular basis, am I being honest with my actions and myself? And I feel like that level of intensity of honesty with yourself will help you guide the value behind why you're doing the things you're doing. Right. You have to take in personal responsibility for the actions going forth in your journey. Right. Holding it up to other choices or saying that if this didn't happen, I would have done something differently. It's like uh, accepting the responsibility of because that happened, I have to now make a different choice. I have to now be more fulfilled in my actions. And that can generate a sense of freedom when you're feeling more in control of your choices and you're gaining more responsibility over your life. Um, Another way to look at this is changing the narrative of your life. Take your belief system of how your life was represented and ask the question, if you could be re-raised from childhood to now, how would you want to be raised? Now, this is a question I ask some people who struggle with accepting where they're at in life, and they tend to tell me about all the experiences they've had throughout their childhood, and then what's stopping them from doing something now about it. Uh, and the follow-up question is, why can't you treat yourself that way now? So I bring that to the forefront of the journey of weight loss or the scale or just personal growth in your health is um, because my mom used food or my dad used food as a means to find love and belonging with me, doesn't mean I have to continue to raise myself that way. Doesn't mean I have to continue to feed the narrative that was bestowed upon me through my childhood. I have to now recreate, redefine, repurpose who I am to find the value of how I want to treat myself. And that's where like the walking comes into play because I do my walks. That's something I treat myself to. Um, Going out and enjoying the lakefront or enjoying nature, that's something I treat myself to. And it's something that I wish I was raised in through childhood as. And now that I have the capability to do it, I receive that for myself. And the last piece of that would be, what can I do for myself today that makes my inner child proud? Because I feel like a lot of times there are missing pieces of where the inner child work isn't developed. Right? It's like, well, I had to grow up so fast to be this adult, and I'm doing all this adult things, and I'm growing up so fast, and I'm being this person, and I'm losing sight on what my child person would have been proud of. I let's even attach it to now. Would you be your friend? Would your childhood version of you be your friend today? Right. And if you could be friends with your childhood version, what would you want to do with them? And that's the deep inner works I feel can connect and change the narrative for a lot of people in life. Okay, so we're at the questions and comments piece.
Okay. It's a lot to take in. It's such an important topic because many of us, as we have weight loss surgery, we think it's just about, losing the weight. But you go through this journey within yourself too of kind of knowing like more who you are because you aren't just a form. You aren't just a form. You're much more than that.
Hmm.
Um, I'm going to kind of go through a few more questions here. Let's take just a few more here. Let's see. Somebody asked about other support groups for diabetes. I'm not really familiar with those. Somebody suggested going on to Facebook and maybe looking because I'm sure that many support groups focus, like you could probably look for bariatric keywords, go in and search bariatric, but also diabetic. And a lot of times you can find groups to help you with that. Somebody's asking about extra hanging skinning, suggestions on that. Corby, have you struggled at all with that piece? Is that something that
So,
you feel comfortable talking about?
so yeah, I can talk about that. So yeah, I do have a lot of loose skin because I lost over 400 pounds. Um, I know I have to do plastic surgery aspect to remove the skin. There's not a way to get the skin to be unstretched that way. The complications I find with is still seeing the bigger version of myself. Um, but what I've learned to do is accept how I feel about myself. Um, the good and the bad. I might have this loose skin, but I'm happy that I've lost the weight instead of lived the unhealthy life I've had. So just gaining this acknowledgement of acceptance of self and how you feel about yourself currently, and not looking at just your body or the scale as your measurement, but your mental and physical well-being.
Jocelyn says, I've lost over 100 pounds multiple times on my own. Initially kept it off for 10 years. Had a child, gained weight, lap band removal, and now I'm pre-op. And although I'm glad I'm having this leave in November, I'm very embarrassed and defeated, and I cannot do it alone. Any thoughts?
So what I hear is that you're calling for help, right? You want connection. Um, your connection has a very broad range of people to connect with. Also, creating your circle of people that you have closest to you. Um, I don't know if you have family support or friends that are around, but looking into Berry Connect, there are some support groups that you can find via TikTok or online. But I know that going to these different sites will allow you to find some connection if you want to just via internet.
I feel like that's a big part, the connection, whether you're listening to a podcast like this or the Barry Mail experience, or you're joining in and actually being an active part where you're talking and asking questions like you guys are doing. Either way. Ryan, did you have the what type of bariatric surgery did you have? Do you mind sharing that?
Oh, the R&Y.
Okay, there was a question. Um, Meditation. Somebody's asking, do you have verses or some positive readings or listen to positive affirmations? What things, ideas do you help to focus on more?
Okay, so things I do for positive affirmations, I do a checklist in the morning and a checklist at night. I tell myself before I go to sleep, I want to acknowledge this feeling about me. I ask these questions, and then throughout the day, I think about, am I feeling that way, and where's that feeling coming from? Another way you can do this is take any song that you want to in your head, listen to the music, and re-listen to the lyrics, and you can add it to your walk. Uh, Meditation isn't just a form of just being still, but also you can have meditation and movement, uh, being really in tune with your breathing. Box breathing is helpful. Yeah, I had to join Beer Nation just to survive. Beer Nation is a very good place to be as well. Got some good friends in there.
Um, okay. Albert says, how long did you feel like you had the flexibility after surgery? Bend down, tie your shoes, do those kind of things.
Without getting out of breath, a year. It took me a year before I was like, oh, here's the cool thing. I did the thing where I can put my leg up and do this. Like, you guys can't see now, but I got my legs crossed, right? Like that was like my big measurement. It was like, oh, I can actually sit in like a therapist chair and actually have my legs crossed and feel comfortable. But like I said, it took a year to acknowledge that. and I want to even add to that for you. Your cardio is a very big important piece to that as well. If you're having consistent cardio, it definitely helps with your breathing patterns.
Okay. Yes. Going back to the Berry Nation, Berry Nation has been a wonderful community asset too as well. So we want to say if you're looking for additional support, that's another great community, and it's a private community that you can join. Just look for Berry Nation.
Mhm.
Um, let's see. One last question before we kind of get into how they can connect more with you is how about the liquid diet before and after surgery? Was it difficult?
It wasn't difficult. The so before surgery, out for 30 days, I had to be on 600 calories, I believe. They got really low with me because I was such a heavy weight. They wanted to reduce as much weight as possible. So that was 3 protein shakes, a handful of broccoli, and then 1 piece of chicken breast. All right. And you kind of had to get creative with the seasoning a little bit. But when it came to the liquid, by that time I was already being consistent in defining the value of what each food meant. So like when I mean by defining the value of the food, I would look at the food, be like, do I need all of this? Like my plate could be full. Well, what is that going to do for me in the long run? Am I going to feel better? Am I going to feel sick afterwards? Do I want to feel sick? Am I willing to throw up after this? Could this lead to possibly me wanting to do this more consistently? I, when you have a thought process of asking yourself a million questions before you eat 1 piece of chicken, trust me, it changes your life. When you go through all the playing the tape out of every little action, you're now thinking like it's not worth it. Like I know for me that's how it was. I was like, it ain't worth it. Like I don't
And I
need
think the
this.
pre-op diet was almost harder than the post-op because the pre-op, you have a full-size stomach. You don't have the help, the tool of the surgery itself. So, like, and you're it's about mindset. It's really getting your mind in the right place, guys. That's the only way to make it through the pre and post-op diet, I think, is to have your mind in the right place. Like, why am I doing this? What is this food giving my body? What am I, how is this taking me to my more end goals of healthier lifestyle, all of those things. Um,
Even identifying the emotion behind it, right? Is it because I feel stressed out and I need to eat the stress away? Like that's a real thing to
yeah.
ask yourself.
Yeah. Why
Like,
am I eating? Am I really hungry or do I just think I'm hungry because this is the normal time I eat, the foods that I
mhm,
typically eat? I'm not getting the same kinds of foods, so my body feels shock. Just a
mhm.
little bit of everything. Well, I'm going to share your information here again. And is there anything you want to say about them being able to be a part of your community, be able to share if they're wanting to get in touch with you or share anything with you?
So most of my content is on TikTok or Instagram. I am part of Berry Mel Experience. I'm part of Pop Recovery. I assist with that. So there's multiple venues or ways to get to me. They're all in my link tree that are in my bios on my social media. Actually, today, BME, we have our show tonight actually, and then within the next hour. So I'm excited about that. There's a guy that's on our panel who also had a weight loss surgery, and he's also lost over 400 pounds. So I'm excited for him because he just hit that mark of losing 400 pounds.
And somebody might have posted how to, so basically, how do they connect with that? Is that being broadcast on YouTube live or?
So we broadcast it on YouTube and it's on live on TikTok. So
Okay.
if you go on my page, it's live on TikTok. Or you go on a Berry Mill Experience, as you see in the chat.
Okay. And Shar is posting. Shar is behind the scenes kind of gal with Berry Mail Experience. So she's posting. Um, and I'm also you have been a huge supporter of ProCare Health, which is our sponsor for this event. So I want to just kind of share just a little bit about ProCare. And you're also an affiliate of, of ProCare. So what that means is that if anybody orders anything from ProCare, you can use Corby's discount code Ryan, Ryan. I keep calling you Corby. I go between Ryan and Corby. I keep
You know
interchanging it.
what? My sister calls me Corby Ryan because she just loves the combination of the name. So it's fine.
I try to remind myself and then I go back, but you know who you are. um, you've been a big supporter of ProCare, and I'm going to pop onto their site, and I want you to tell us what you like as far as your own products with our sponsors. So I'm going to share my screen and should be showing ProCare, which ProCare is procarenow.com. I'll paste that in the comment section here in a moment. So some brand new things that we actually have is we have these new citrus growth tablets. We have sensors, which are little tablets that you can put in. They're actually not available purchasing, but when you order a subscription under ProCare, you get those for free. And then we have a new product, which is our calcium on the go packets, single serve. And that's something you probably haven't even tried because those just came out like a week ago. They're like
Oh no,
little
I haven't gotten
powders that
those
you
yet.
can put in your drink.
That's awesome.
Tell us what your favorites are.
So I like the turmeric. The turmeric definitely helps with joint. Because I do my morning jog, morning walk, so this helps with joint pain. Uh, I have the thyroid that helps with one thing I've learned with thyroid, it definitely helps with mood and stability of emotional regulation at times. I don't have it right here now, but the 50 billion I was going to see
Probiotic?
something probiotic. Yes, I definitely use the probiotic. That is a very helpful and it helps regulate with your system. Because what people don't realize, a lot of I've experienced, I should say, your your gut health affects your mental health a lot. So if you are having difficulties with not being regular or having cramping in the stomach, when you have a good probiotic to help you, you'll start relieving a lot of anxiety or stress that you have.
They say that the gut is your second brain. So I'm sure that there's
Hmm.
strong relationships there. So the products that Corby mentioned, if you go to procarenow.com, there's a little tab that says products, and under that tab is a tab that says therapeutics. And a lot of our therapeutics are on sale right now. I mean, they're like incredible pricing. So um, take a look. Right. So if I navigate to there, right now the turmeric is actually 39% off. We also have we were looking at, let's see, the thyroid and the probiotic solutions. Hope I'm not passing them up. Here's the probiotics right now are save 34%. And then the thyroid are on sale, I think also load more. They may be on page 2. Let's see here. Kind of navigate upward. I might have passed it up. Thyroid is say 40%. So everything, all three of those products that he mentioned are actually on sale right now. So be you're able to check those out. And if you use his code Ryan, Ryan, in the checkout, you actually will save another 10%. So takes your 40% down up to 50% off, which is pretty cool. I also want to say if you want to catch any more of our events that we have here, Corby's event will be on replay until the end of this month. So if you want to come back, listen again. I know sometimes things are just better absorbed the second time around. Go under the tab Berry Connected, kind of midway through, and then Berry Connected once again. And under that tab, you're going to see all of the events for this month, including Corby's event. And you can click on that. When you register, it'll give you access to the on-demand replay. So you use the same link for registering as you do listening. We also will be placing this event on our YouTube channel that'll be placed on there by Tuesday of next week. We always put all of our replays and on our podcast, which is called Very Connected. So check that out alongside the Very Male Experience YouTube channel and also the the Very Male Experience podcast. So you got a lot. You guys' podcast though is basically listed on your YouTube channel and TikTok, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. And we list all of these here on Facebook. We have a Facebook page and group too, guys, if that's just one place more to connect. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We also have a very special surprise, which just came out this week. We are bringing our Very Connected podcast to SMS texting. So like if you want to get reminders of these events, we also have can text that. You can, it is text Barry, Bari, to the phone number 1-833-429-9897. Again, Barry, Bari, to 1-833-429-9897. And you can subscribe, unsubscribe at any time. So, somebody just logged on. If you just logged on, you can always listen to the replay with the same link. So just come back. Any closing thoughts that you want to say to share?
Your value is more visible when you put forth the effort in finding who you are instead of what you are finding around you to be connected to. Take some deep-rooted sense of figuring you out and then love that version of yourself. I always tell people that the best part of this journey of weight loss is becoming more visible with yourself, not just because of your size.
I love that. How do you define yourself? And it's a great way to put it. It's a wonderful way to put it. Great closing thought. Let that sink in, guys. Let that sink in because you are much more in value. And once you know your own value, other people are going to see it much stronger too. It's not just about you seeing it. I mean, it's not just about other people seeing it. It's about you seeing it first. And the more you see it, other people will recognize that. So you can't expect other people to see what you don't see yourself. And your experiences in life will change because of that. Your relationships, your finances, your health, your purpose, like you talked about, all of those different pieces of that pie. So thank you so much. And so guys, if you're looking for just a night of Ryan, join his other event. What time does that it looks like it starts
And then in the next like 50 minutes, actually.
next 50 minutes. Okay. So jump on over there and check that out. And thank you, everybody. If there is anybody listening that is part of a attendance pre-op for their insurance, like needing pre-op visits for support groups, because this is considered a support group. I actually share attendance with over 50 facilities each month. And so I will be sending out attendance to those facilities usually by the end of the month. I'm actually going to the Obesity Help Conference, which I'm looking really forward to the end of this week. So I'll be there and then in office training next week. So it'll probably be right at the end of the month, but I will send all of that attendance over. So we got you covered. But I also will share my email. It's my last name again, Hayne B at ProCareNow.com in case you do have any questions. So looking forward to that BME additional support tonight. And thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And thank each of you for showing up to be more of yourself. Because if you are listening to this podcast, that is you. I hope this resonated with each of you to know that you are of value and that you do make a difference in this world. It's a ripple effect.
Yes.
You affect each of those people out there. So thank you. And thank you, Ryan.
No problem. I appreciate coming out here. It's definitely, sorry for the technical difficulties, but I definitely love showing up.
You do. And we appreciate you too. Thank you so much. There's lots of love coming out at you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.